Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Ben.
And we are Smokey Boys Barbecue. Today we're back on location in Barbecue Outfitters in San Antonio, Texas, and we are doing beef jerky.
Yeah, we're gonna do 3 different types of jerky in this video. We're gonna be doing Korean barbecue. We're gonna be doing bourbon brown sugar. And then we're also gonna be doing Dr. Pepper jalapeno, which is a crazy one to me, but I'm excited to see it.
I'm looking forward to that. So enough talking, let's get smoking. Smokey Boys Barbecue is brought to you by Serve You Home Pros, San Antonio's backyard experts. Let's get smoking. Today we're going to be using the Traeger Ironwood. We're going to turn our grill on to 165 degrees. Essentially what we're going to be doing is cold smoking, or as close as possible to cold smoking. So putting the Traeger on at 165, putting the smoke barbecue button on. There we go. Now push and hold. There we go. And as simple as that, we're gonna be igniting. We're gonna wait for this grill to come up to 165. We'll be right back and throw on this beef jerky.
Start out prep today, we're gonna start by slicing up our eye of round. You always wanna use something that's a solid muscle, so you don't wanna use like ribeyes and stuff. They just kind of fall apart as you're cooking them. Anything with too much marbling or fat is gonna, as that fat renders, sort of shrink and fall apart. So solid muscle eye around. We're gonna trim this up just a little bit. Again, you don't want too much fat on jerky. So just sort of trim off a little bit of the fat. You don't have to go too crazy. I'm actually gonna flip it over. So we're gonna do just thin slices. You want like 1/8 of an inch. So let's get going. First one is always gonna be a little bit of a kind of experiment. Get your cuts right and make sure it's kind of squared off so you get that nice flat cut on the next one. So this is kind of what you're looking for. Get that nice thickness. Again, it's not, see-through, but you can see a little bit of light where the fat is. And that's really what you're going for. So we're gonna slice up the rest of this. Also, as a little tip, if you get one that's a little too thick, take the back edge of your knife, just kind of hit it. Use your knife like a meat tenderizer. Helps thin it out and kind of spread it a little bit. Now you can use skirt steak, you can use, other cuts of meat and just do thin strips of jerky versus kind of the bigger flat pieces like we're doing today. Anything works, but the bigger muscles are definitely what's preferred. And we're gonna split this between 3 different marinades. If you're trying to do a big batch of jerky, you can do, something this size for one flavor, or do a couple of these if you're gonna split up some flavors. But for the sake of the video, we're just gonna split this one steak between 3. Also, another tip, if you have a meat slicer, use that. It's a lot easier. The other thing, definitely make sure you get a sharp knife. Dull knives are much more dangerous. I know it doesn't seem like it, but the duller the knife, the more likely you are to slip or get caught and cut yourself. Sharp knives are gonna go right through whatever you're cutting. Make it nice and easy. As you get to the end, you're gonna get some thinner slices. It's definitely the most dangerous, so please be careful while you're cutting this. Do as I say, not as I do. We're gonna use our tip. This one's getting a little too thin to slice, so we're just gonna kind of hammer it out. That's gonna spread it out to the thickness we want, make it nice and tender. Knock over the jalapenos. And we're good to go with that. We're gonna start off with the Korean barbecue marinade. So get yourself some Ziploc bags. Open them up, get them ready to roll. So we're gonna start off with some soy sauce. So we're gonna do a 1/3 cup of soy sauce. Then we are going to put in 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of rice wine. Rice wine, mirin, pretty much the same thing. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. So 2 tablespoons of that. This is what's gonna give you that kind of umami, general Asian, Korean flavor. Then you're gonna do some sesame seeds. So we've got a little bottle here. Just kind of sprinkle it in. This is just gonna give you a little bit of depth of flavor as well as a little bit of a look as you're cooking. Then we're gonna get some ground ginger. This is 1/2 tablespoon. You just kind of sprinkle some in, a few shakes. I love the smell of ginger. And then lastly, we're gonna finish off with 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. That doesn't want to pour out, so we're just gonna shake it in. Probably a few shakes. So we've got our soy sauce, our brown sugar, our rice wine, our sesame oil, ginger, sesame seeds, and this one's pretty much ready to go. So we're gonna pull out, let's break this down into about 3 equal piles here, give or take. That's pretty close. So you do want to kind of layer these in. If you drop them in as a big handful, it's going to kind of stick together and you're not going to get the flavor the whole way around the meat. So dropping them in one at a time really lets the marinade get the whole way around. Kind of shake it up. And then as you're sealing, leave a little air gap. Push down. You want to get as much air out as possible. So you'll see the liquid start to go up the top of the bag. And then go ahead and seal that last little bit. Not quite vacuum sealed, but pretty close. Then you can kind of swirl it around, make sure it gets on all the pieces. And that one is good to go. Next up, we're gonna do the bourbon brown sugar one. So we're gonna start off with our bourbon. We're gonna do a 1/4 cup. Today we are using Evan Williams. It's a really good bourbon, just to drink, but today we're gonna use it as a jerky marinade. So 1/4 cup of that. Bourbon is really powerful, so you really, a 1/4 cup doesn't seem like much, but you'll taste it, trust me. Next up, we're gonna do 1 teaspoon of molasses. This is gonna give us that really kind of dark, sugary flavor. Sort of like a mix between honey and caramel if you've never had molasses. It's not for everybody. Next up, we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Then we're gonna do a little bit of black pepper. At this point, if you haven't realized, I'm not a big measuring guy. Next, we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's gonna add our saltiness into this recipe. And then lastly, we're gonna do some Worcestershire, or however you pronounce that word, because everybody does it different. All right, and that is gonna be our bourbon brown sugar marinade. Shake it up. This one has a lot more seasonings and particles in it to go with the liquid. So you really wanna kind of mix this one. And then again, pull these one at a time, drop them in there. Get them nice and coated. The more surface area you have exposed is the more flavor you're gonna get. Same thing, we're gonna seal this about 90% of the way. Squeeze out the air. And finish it up. And there you go. There's our bourbon brown sugar marinade. Our last one is gonna be our weird one. That's gonna be our Dr. Pepper jalapeno. So I'm gonna start off, we're gonna get our jalapenos, 2 jalapenos, and our knife. We're gonna do really thin slices. The thinner the slice, the more of the oils and stuff in the pepper is gonna bleed into the marinade. So we're gonna chop these up. I'm leaving stems and all the seeds and everything. It's gonna add a little spice to it. All right. Now that we've got our jalapeno chopped up, we're gonna grab our bag. I'm just gonna dump all these right in the bottom. Again, if you're like me and you like that spice, get all those seeds in there. Next up, we're gonna get our Dr. Pepper. So it calls for 2 cups. That's about 1.5 cans. There's 1 can. Another way to really amplify the flavor of this one specifically is if you have a burner, you're doing this at home, on your stove, put all this into a pot, boil it, and reduce it a little bit. That'll really kind of amplify those flavors, as well as, you know, when you heat up the jalapenos, they kind of let loose some of that oil. All right, so that's 1.5 cans. So next we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of salt. I just dumped a bunch in, so we're gonna go a little short on that one. Next up, we're going to do a little more Worcestershire. So we're gonna do another tablespoon into this one. Make sure your bag doesn't tip over. That'd be a disaster for everybody. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of pepper. If you got a pepper grinder, it's always a better choice. And then I'm adding this into the recipe. We're gonna do a little bit of red pepper flakes. I like spicy stuff. That's just gonna add a little bit of heat to it. And that's it. So this one is gonna be nice and chunky. You got all the jalapenos in there, you got all the crushed red pepper and the salt. Everything's in there kind of working. And then we're gonna take our jerky, throw that in there. One thing, and I've seen this in restaurants where they do Coke braised like beef and stuff, because of the acidity in sodas, or pop if you're from the north like me. It really helps tenderize it and break down the meat. So it's a really good marinade addition. Shake that up a little bit. Squeeze out our air. That one is all good to go. Now, we have all 3 of our marinades done and ready to go. We're gonna let these sit in the fridge for at least 8 hours. If you have 24 hours, you can do it the day before, definitely do that. The longer it sits there, the more flavor it's gonna get. I marinated some last night, so I'm gonna grab those. We're gonna get those out to Mike on the grill, and we're gonna get these things smoking.
All right, so as you can tell, a storm has moved in and we're still smoking. It's time to get this jerky on the grill. We hit our temp of 165. So let's go ahead and put on this jerky. We have 3 different types of jerky that we're making today. This is going to be the bourbon brown sugar. It's pretty simple. You're just going to throw each piece of meat on separately. Bourbon brown sugar. That marinade smells delicious. Lay everything out nice and flat. That's going to be the bourbon brown sugar. Next on the lineup is the Dr. Pepper jalapeno. I think this is the one that I'm most excited about. It should taste great. Maybe a little spice kick on the end. Again, just try to keep them separated so that everything cooks up nice and even. What I'm going to do is take out some of these jalapenos and lay them on top so that it cooks. Put those on top of it nice with a flavor bomb whenever we bite into these. And lastly, we have the Korean barbecue. This is probably going to be a really nice umami flavor bomb. It smells really good. It's got some sesame seed in there. And we're doing some different flavors, so I'm really excited to try all of them. Cooking jerky shouldn't be intimidating. It's really easy. That'll do it. All right, so we're going to close the lid. We're using Smokin pecan pellets, which is a natural pecan shell. They actually bring a lot of flavor and good smoke to the cook. So we're going to wait for this jerky to get a nice tenderness and a nice dry feel or look to it. Once that happens, we're going to take it inside and we're going to give it a taste. All right, it's time to check out this jerky. We've been cooking for about 2.5 hours. Let's see how they look. Awesome. That's the texture we're looking for. They look a little dry. We're ready to get these out the pit and get them inside ready to try. And look at that jalapeno. All right, we're looking good. Don't tell Ben, but I'm gonna have a taste. All right, we're back at the table. We're out of the rain. The cook turned out great. So we have our Dr. Pepper jalapeno, our bourbon brown sugar, and our Korean barbecue.
Yeah, they look incredible. They look like that you could have just taken these out of a bag and laid them here.
Absolutely.
We didn't, by the way.
So overall cook time? Oh.
Yeah, cook time about 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of prep. And then, let them marinate probably 8 hours. So you definitely want to do your marinade the day before.
And then the longer you marinate, the more flavor profile that you're gonna get out of it.
Yeah, and right before we taste these, like and subscribe to the video. Go check out our Instagram. We're posting stuff pretty much every day over there. But
all right, let's get into this, man, because everything looks great.
Start with the Dr. Pepper.
Start with the Dr. Pepper,
right.
A little flavor bomb right here. Look at that, man. That looks amazing.
Getting that jalapeno right on top.
You have to leave the seeds in, bro. Ready?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Oh, wow. Perfect beef jerky texture. Not too tough. Still tender.
Mm-hmm. I think a big part of that is because of the Dr. Pepper. Like I was saying in prep, it kind of breaks the meat down, and it really makes it nice and tender. I'm curious to see if the other ones are as tender, but
that's really good.
You do taste the jalapeno. It's pretty strong, but it's not spicy. It's just the flavor, which is really nice.
I was thinking it was going to be a lot spicier, to be honest.
I don't know if the Dr. Pepper pulls some of the spice out of it or what, but the taste is awesome.
Great flavor on that one.
Yeah. Set that one aside. Bourbon?
Let's do bourbon.
All right.
My favorite drink.
We're both bourbon drinkers, so I'm excited for this one. Cheers.
Cheers. It smells good. Also, good texture on this one as well.
I do think it's still tender. I can't tell. It feels like it's not quite as tender as the Dr. Pepper, but it's pretty close.
You really taste that bourbon brown sugar. That's great.
Yeah, and because of the cook, you don't get the alcohol flavor, you just get the flavor of the bourbon. And then the sweetness of the brown sugar,
Yeah.
a little bit of saltiness from the soy sauce. Yeah, that one's awesome.
Great flavor profile.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Last but not least,
Yeah.
Korean barbecue.
Yeah. So, yeah, this one I'm pretty excited about because I love like soy sauce teriyaki, and that's the main
This one should
flavor in
have like
this.
a nice umami, right?
Yep. Cheers. Yeah.
That's delicious.
I think saltiest of the three,
I agree.
and you actually get the mirin and the sesame oil. Gives you that. Good.
Yeah.
Gives you that umami flavor though that you get with a lot of Chinese and Thai and Korean foods.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think if I had to rate them, it'd probably be the Korean barbecue, the Dr. Pepper, and then the bourbon.
Dude, I'm gonna go Dr. Pepper, Korean barbecue bourbon. I really like the bourbon though. They're all
That's
great.
the thing. Even though it's my third favorite, it's still really good. Yeah, just these two are just better, but that one's still really good. Yeah, I'm gonna be eating jerky for a couple days and not upset about it.
Well, thanks for joining us for another cook. And until next week, keep the smoke rolling and the flavor flowing. We'll see you.